Oh, y'all rock with the shirt? Shop dtvmerchstore.com. Look, that's all I can say. What's going on YouTube? Back to another video. If your day's not going good, I hope tomorrow is better. If you're not already subscribed, click that subscribe button, that notification bell. You've already subscribed. Thank you for your loyalty. Welcome back to the DTV channel, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got a good one today. We're gonna get into the topic of discussion, the title of this video, as I'm sure a lot of people are interested in, because I'm not gonna lie, a lot of photographers are very hesitant to getting this camera, especially beginning photographers, or not even. Beginning photographers shouldn't even be looking at this camera. If you're in that middle range of like pretty much where I am with photography, a year or two of experience, it's not a hobby, it's kind of more of a career path type thing. A lot of photographers in that range are still very hesitant about this camera. Rightfully so, I'm not gonna lie. The price point on this camera is ridiculous. So a lot of people wanna know, is it really worth it? Let's talk about it. So I'm here to talk about the Sony A1. As some would say, the king of the Sony mirrorless line of cameras, and I ain't gonna lie, as some would say, including myself, the king of all mirrorless cameras throughout all brands. Listen, am I biased? For those who don't know, the Sony A1 is like, it's like the big brother to the Sony A7 III. If you know about the Sony A7 III, as a lot of photographers should, the Sony A7 III is pretty much the perfect hybrid camera for the intermediate / beginning photographer or videographer. The Sony A1 is also a hybrid camera. It's just a whole lot better than the A7 III. And like spec wise, I'm gonna break this video down into pros and cons to make it simple for the viewer and just so I don't waste y'all time. So we're just gonna jump right into this. In terms of photography, this camera has a super fast shutter. So if you're doing wildlife or action photography, you are going to love this camera. From the Sony mirrorless line, no matter what camera you are coming from, you are going to love this camera if you are doing any type of fast moving type of photography. You're gonna love it. I think it shoots up to, 30 in its highest setting. It shoots up to 30 pictures per second. I'm not gonna lie, you gotta fiddle with it a little bit, but in its highest setting, it can shoot up to 30 pictures per second, which is insane. Would you ever need that? I'm not gonna lie, I haven't found a use for it, like for that many, but the comfort zone that I feel is around that 20 to 25 photos per second. Like that is the beautiful median range for me. Whenever I wanna shoot in high plus, when I'm doing like sports, mainly just when I'm doing sports. Now, on the flip side of photography, if you do portraits, we are talking about a 30 megapixel, is it 30 or is it 50? Ah, there we go. If you do portraits or any type of still kind of photography where you're shooting things that are standing still and you have control over the environment, you are going to love this camera. If you have a 50 megapixel sensor, 50. If you do like weddings or any type of portrait where you're printing anything out, you are going to love this camera. So that alone is beautiful, because a lot of photographers that do portrait photography or sports photography, sometimes you got to choose which camera to get. Now myself, I do portraits and sports. Like that A1 is that perfect median in terms of what I need out of photography. The next pro I'm gonna have to go with is the autofocus. I'm not sure of the complete specs. I didn't nerd out over it too much, but it has like some type of amazing autofocus points, like some a fucking enormous amount of autofocus points. And the autofocus is super sharp, it's super nice. Obviously it does have to do with the lens you attach to it, but if you are attaching the Sony G Master lenses to the A1, as you should be, because there's no reason you should be getting a $6,000 camera and not having any G Master lenses. But if you are attaching a proper glass to this camera, the autofocusing is going to be tack sharp, fast, and like for the most, it will never let you down. If you are in the correct focusing mode for whatever environment you're in, the focusing will never let you down, and it's beautiful. Another thing I'm gonna have to speak about is the battery life, which I mean, past Damon, let me stop right there. So I recently just shot a wedding, and the battery life on the A1 is not that good when it comes to video. If you're shooting in any type of video mode, your camera is gonna die quick. Photos, you should be good though. And in terms of videography, that 4K 120, oh my God. Although no matter where you post your stuff, for the most part, it's gonna be compressed and that 4K won't really matter. it's still a certain level of smoothness that you get out of 4K versus 1080. It's something that you start to get used to with your eyes, and with me having the A7 III and the A1, whenever I record on the A7 III and I look at the footage, I just know it doesn't compare to the A1, so I've kind of gotten spoiled looking at the 4K 120 from the A1, and then when I go look at the A7 III, it's just like, you feel me? But it's definitely a pro, and it's a really great pro. The 4K 120, it's very beautiful no matter what you're shooting. If you're doing any type of event, if you're doing any type of sports, it's beautiful. You put it on a gimbal, oh my god, you put 4K 120 on a gimbal, come on now. Anyways, we're gonna move on before I geek out. We're gonna move on. Another pro, for those who need it, I've never found a use for it, but it shoots 8K 30. I don't shoot anything of super high production, so that 8K 30 was kind of a waste for me. Maybe in the future, you know, we'll see, but as of right now, it's definitely a pro, because it's definitely something like a lot of cameras cannot shoot 8K. For those who need it, it's there. Another pro I'm definitely gonna have to throw in is longevity. This camera will last you a long time. I think this camera just came out in 2019, 2018, somewhere around there, or was it 2020? I'm not even sure, don't quote me. It came out one of them years, but this camera is still relatively new. You never know what you may end up shooting in your photography career, and this is the camera that will be able to shoot pretty much everything. Last but not least, the camera is an absolute unit. This camera is weatherproof. Think of a DSLR. It ain't quite there, but it's there. You feel me? The A1 is not quite there, but it's definitely heavy duty. You can shoot in almost any weather conditions. I've shot in rain all the times because, you know, spring just passed and oh my god, it was annoying. But you don't have, especially if you pair it with the right glass, I'll say again, you pair it with the weatherproof glass, you do not have to worry about shooting in the rain and wearing weather guards over your equipment. Your equipment's gonna be fine. It's gonna be perfectly fine. You pay for that. You would expect something with a price point like this to be weatherproof in some way. We have the pros out of the way. Now we're gonna touch on the cons. So the number one con about this camera that really kind of set it off for me and kind of gave me a bad vibe when I first got it, and this is like, this can't just be me. It cannot be. I didn't look too deep into why this is occurring, because there's not a lot of people, there's not a lot of help you can get in terms of the A1. It's not a lot of help out there, because not a lot of people have this camera, and the people that do have this camera are like the old head photographers, and they don't do videos like this. You feel me? So that's why I'm here to try to help you out a little bit. The Sony A1 is terrible in low light. I know, surprise. It's actually shocking, and I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm doing something wrong, please let me know in the comment section. I'm very open to criticism. Let me know. But as far as I've used this camera, and I've had this camera for about 4 to 5 months now from when I made the first video of me unboxing it, every time I've shot with this camera indoor, because you guys know I do a lot of indoor basketball games. When I do my indoor basketball shoots, when I was doing it when I first got this camera, there was an absurd amount of grain compared to when I shot on my A7 III. Indoor with the A7 III, same exact settings. Indoor with the A7 III versus indoor with the A1, you can visually see the amount of grain that A7 III, that A1 has versus the A7 III. Now, the reason behind it, which I'm pretty sure it is because of the super high megapixel that the A1 has. The more megapixels, the more grain you're gonna be able to see. Now, I'm not sure if you can lower the megapixels that each footage is gonna be. I'm pretty sure you can. I'm actually pretty sure you can lower the amount of megapixels, and that may help. However, if the camera is offering 50 megapixels, you kind of don't want to have to deal with, you know, dropping the megapixels, because if that's the case, you might as well just use a less expensive camera. So that's gonna have to be a con for me. It's not that great in low light situations. It's not even that great in low light situations when it comes to recording. You still see more grain when you're recording in low light versus when you're recording with the A7 III. So anytime I do anything with low light, I just don't even try with the A1. I use my A7 III whether I'm shooting basketball or any type of indoor video that, you know, I can't control the lighting. I automatically go to my A7 III. It saves me the headache in post, because if you guys know, dealing with grain in post, whether it's with photos, and please don't let it be video, but if it's with photos, it's not the best thing. You lose a lot of detail, you lose a lot of sharpness, and you know, it's not fun. That's the biggest con I would have to say with this camera. Now we're gonna nitpick now. The second con would have to be, bro, the price. The price point on this, you're damn near dropping 7 racks on this camera. I'm pretty sure after taxes, it pretty much is $7,000, and that is absurd. For the most part, you are paying for what you're getting. It's a hybrid camera, and that's why you're paying that price point, because it's a camera that can do both. You're pretty much getting the best hybrid mirrorless camera that you can get. It's the best of both worlds, so you're paying that premium. So I get it, but it's definitely gonna have to go under cons because nobody wants to spend that amount of money. And last but not least for the cons, like I was speaking about before, the 4K 120 is beautiful, and like I was saying, the 50 megapixel photos beautiful, but you're gonna eat through SD cards. And also, it's best to buy faster reading SD cards, which means ultimately you're going to be spending a lot more money on SD cards, right? You want to get faster ones, and then if you want to get faster ones that carry a lot more storage, because that would be the best bet, you're looking at spending $300 to $400 on an SD card, bro. So that's 100% gonna have to be a con because, oh my, and it's like, it's understandable because you're getting a lot more detail out of whatever you're shooting, but you know, it takes up a lot more storage, better SD cards, whatever the case may be. So it's understandable, but it's definitely gonna have to be a con because nobody wants to already drop 7 racks on a camera and then have to go drop even more money on better SD cards. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. In terms of, you know, cons, that's got to be it. No, it's not that bad of a con. I definitely do not regret getting the camera. I love the camera. I'll definitely do a lot more videos on the A1, but I definitely have to drop a review. I wanted to drop this sooner, but I wanted to get a feel for it a little more because as of right now, the A1 is my primary camera. Like I said, I only take out my A7 III when I'm shooting in low light. And most recently, I've been doing a lot of outdoor stuff. So the A1 is my primary camera. The other thing I only use it for is when I use my gimbal, because I have a small gimbal right now. I got the Ronin RC. I'm thinking about getting the Ronin RS2. If I get the RS2, it'd be beautiful for the A1. Like, because the RC cannot handle the weight of the A1 right now. But that's a story for a different video. So like I said, I definitely love the A1. It's my primary camera. The A7 III is my secondary. It's definitely still my baby, but it's my good old reliable. That's what my A7 III is. That's what I do these videos on. You feel me? Can never go wrong with the A7 III. Now, the final question would be, is it worth it? I bought the A1 because it was time for me to get a second camera and I wanted to upgrade. I basically future-proofed. In terms of what I was doing in the moment that I bought the A1, I didn't need that camera, but I knew what I planned on shooting in the future. And I've been doing it so far. So that was the story behind why I dropped $7,000 on this shit. But is it worth it? Will have to be completely up to you and your circumstances. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to stay creative. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Peace.